Imagine having virtually unlimited money and you just get to choose which area of the world you'd like to seize via manifest destiny. That's being an American, and that's how I treat Cities Skylines too, as I figure out where I'd like to build my new city as mayor, governor, and democratically elected leader. So obviously choosing Lakeland because it's Canada, and honestly, it's a pretty good mix of arable land and water and interesting coastline, which is obviously high value. Plus, it lets me use boats, which I'm a big fan of boats. And it also only got to -5 Celsius, which that's monopoly money to me. I don't even know what that means. But the maps are huge in Cities Skylines 2, and there's everybody who's gonna be talking about the performance of the game. And all I have to say is that if you have bad performance, you're broke. I actually have pretty bad performance, so I had to turn off like LOD and draw distance, a whole bunch of stuff, and ambient occlusion, and I get 40 frames. But that's not why I play this game. I play this game to symmetrically add new gridded land to my city, and that's what I start off doing here because that's the best way to go. I don't really have a plan for what I want this city to look like yet, and I kind of develop it as I go. There's two types of mayors. There's mayors that look at the big picture, and then there's me. I look at the small picture, and then I switch to the big picture, then I switch to the small picture, and I oftentimes forget details in the process. First problem of the city, you'll notice that there's actually no water flow. There's none. It all flows back towards my city, and because of that, any single thing that I put for pollution and waste management is gonna flow back and create the world's largest shit stain since Cleveland was invented. So therefore, I have no other option but to create Cleveland myself. That's a shithole. I'm putting all my stuff in there for now until I figure out a better way to ecologically, is that a right word? Environmentally displace things. And it wouldn't be a city if the city planner didn't fuck up the first residential neighborhood by making one of the most nonsensical, worst zoned, janky looking things in the world just under the guise of putting something near the coastline. What's more important than zoning places for people to spend money? That's the American way, and you have to have a main street. So I love making some little segments of shopping area, working area, residential, you know, like as you should in a normal city, but apparently people forget how to do that. So I'm trying to plan ahead. I don't really care about like if people are going to literally go in there and build now. I just need that for my mental. And I also need this shithole to literally start producing shit. So I put the coal power plant down because, you know, America. And here's the problem. I need water, and I have this idea. What if, this is my first big brain mayor play, what if I use up the groundwater before the coal power plant pollutes it? Therefore, I save some money, and I can just shimmy away from that once it gets polluted. Thoughts? I mean, it's literally a nanny state. This is my first resident, so I started stalking him. Apparently, he's got good things going for him. I added him to my followers list, and when he dies, I'm gonna throw a party and tear down his house so his family doesn't get to mourn his loss. You see, he tweeted something negative about the city, and I'm just now starting. He said there wasn't enough housing, to which I'm like, what the fuck? Important thing for me is to always have pedestrian paths. You want to reduce the amount of vehicles and vehicle reliance in your city. That's just like, I'm a huge believer of that. And so since you don't start off with public transportation, you need to have things that incentivize people to not walk 3.5 miles to get around a block. Also, it's a shame that you got to figure out a way to find places for people to bury their dead ones, because like, cemeteries are fucking huge. I mean, is this really necessary? Like, we have 24 people in town. Who's buried here? Stop wasting good, valuable ground with your dead-ass, nasty-ass body. I'm burning everyone if you die, and you're getting put in a box. Save space and time. Sweden does a good job, or is it Norway? Scandinavia does a good job of taking like landfills and garbage disposal properties and making them into something practical, useful, beautiful, or otherwise not a landfill. And I think I'm gonna try and do a good job here. I'm literally gonna fill Shit Lake up, and then once we get the technological advancements to drain Shit Lake without making an ecological disaster equivalent to the Exxon oil spill, I will do that. But it's cheaper to fill a shithole for now, so I'm gonna put a bunch of industrial stuff around here, and it's gonna be so polluted. But it's okay. It's all right, it's downwind. Question for construction workers, why the fuck are they using cranes for single family homes? It literally doesn't make sense. It's my biggest gripe so far. Like every single place uses cranes. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. That's not how construction works. But you know what? This is how Land Manifest Destiny works. I'm gonna purchase some land over here. And I really just do this so I can try and lock in the island and get some more developmental land. I don't have enough land tiles, so I just kind of get rid of this one because it's not as useful. But look, skill tree is actually pretty cool. I like that I get to choose what I unlock and when and where I focus. So I'm probably gonna go pretty heavy into public transport and traffic management early on. And then I'm gonna work towards the things that people need, like healthcare and police funding last. Unless I need to, because I think I do. You ever just de-zone an area because you've been waiting for medium density housing along the most populated street of your city? No? Okay, I love it. It's great. You just do this, condemn a bunch of homes, and then build new ones. It's so easy. There's only 104 people that live there. I kicked out half. One big gripe I have is that you should be able to future-proof by zoning for medium density housing, even if there's no demand for it off the rip, because honestly, the demand for single-family homes is infuriating in this game, especially when they start to complain about high rent prices because you're zoning fucking homes instead of multifamily homes. But what I've figured out, and this is a big tip if you're playing, is you really, like in Cities 2, you really should pay attention to the size of the units that you're placing. If you have people complaining about high rent for single family homes while there's demand, zone 4x4s or 2x2s instead of 4x4s. Can we also agree that this is awful? What the hell is this placement? You need to be able to place multiple different trees randomly of different types in order for it to look natural. And I do like that the trees need to mature in order to grow up, but they look fucking stupid. Can we stop having this happen, cities? It happened in the first one, it happens now. Why do the paths not connect? Why is there that little nub at the end? It's really annoying. Well, we're actually a small village now, so that's great. Got $700,000 because of that. What do I do with that money? I buy parking, baby. I buy parking areas because I literally understand that early game Cities Skyline forces you to have like a commuter heavy city. So I buy the biggest parking center and I put it in the square of shopping area thing that I have built that eventually I will zone for high rises later on. And it's coming together. Like, I'm realizing that I actually chose a really good plot and I have the opportunity to connect both the north and the south of the city through the same main road with 0 stoplights, 4 roundabouts, and plenty of different pre-zone districts to kind of help traffic and city flow. Because we got the top right being the residential, the middle being a nice shopping hub, the west side's gonna be industrial. The wind blows east to west, which is something that you have to worry about now because of pollution. So I'm just gonna keep doing all of that industrialization to the other side. But what is a city without a school, an elementary school? And they have these new additional upgrades to buildings and services that you can do, which I love. What I don't love is that now people are going to get smart and stop working at my factories. So I'm gonna be careful and not put a college down, like, for a while. I'm really heavily influenced by the places I live and the places I visit when I build in cities. I assume everybody else is the same, but I can't help but feel like every time I start a new city and you're forced to kind of zone everything pretty close together in this way, that I am future-proofing both the area and what I want to do with that area pretty well. So look, the industrial side, it's going to be polluted and awful for 100 years. Not my problem. I don't give a shit. I'm not living there. Okay, I'm the mayor. I live in the hills. But I do care because I can eventually gentrify this. Once I move all of my industrial area out of the city, I can gentrify this into, you guessed it, fucking expensive places. It's the arts district, and it also has Shit Lake, which is gonna be a huge attraction. So don't worry, I'm feeling really good about this. Imagine your mayor refuses to let people zone for residential and shopping next to each other, and he continuously puts all the shopping areas further and further away south from the place where you live. That's me, because I know that ultimately I'm gonna have a great public transportation system that makes this function, but I don't have it right now. So if you were the first person to move here, get fucked. I don't care. I'm thinking about the future of the city, and the rich land is to the south, so the coast is for the people, right? Like, that's something that Chicago does well. The coastline of the lake is very much a park. It is for people to hang out. And it's not to say you don't get great views of the water, like obviously you do with these high rises, but it got me thinking I should totally keep the coastline for the people. I should use parks, and I should use this as like green space to make the game think, wow, I really care about my civilians. I'm not gonna lie, I'm stubborn, right? Like, I actually hate the fact that I made a giant cock down there. but I'm not gonna change it right now. My personal rule, and I don't have any civil engineering experience, despite what I'm lying to you and telling you that I do, is that I wanna have minimal connections from main artery roads to areas where there's going to be congestion, right? Like, I don't wanna put too many people in high-rise buildings right next to this, like, very potentially high, you know, traffic area. So I put a parking space. I forgot to build a firehouse. 900 people live here, 700 people live here, and I forgot to build a fire station, and I forgot to build a police department. So we got to put that in just so people stop complaining, because you really just won't get any sort of like upgrade in the level of the homes around you if you don't build services, which is a scam. Remember when I said that the coastline was for the people? I've straight up lied to you. I'm gonna just develop this with real estate, and I am going to let companies own the coastline because that's good property value, and I'm gonna tax them higher than residential. That's smart business, baby. I'm just kidding. I had second thoughts about this and I de-zoned it immediately. Imagine getting a permit to build on the waterfront and then they're like, yeah, you're half done. Move that shit back. Well, this is a high school and it takes up a lot of space, and you're gonna notice that I actually have day-night cycle on. Guess what? I turned that off. I hate it. I really don't like being able to see nothing in my city. It's annoying. Like, what am I supposed to look at here? So, I place down a football field and then I change it. Top 10 most annoying things in Cities Skylines. They still haven't figured out how to make an appropriate pedestrian bridge, and you can't do it inside very tight cities. And I don't understand why this is the case, because every major city in the history of cities has walkways underneath and above tight and very busy intersections to help reduce traffic, and you can't really do across the area Shibuya crossings, so like what the fuck am I supposed to do here? It's very frustrating. I gotta take up half a city block for an overpass. Really kind of disappointed in the specialized industry areas. I think that with the DLC in Cities 1, obviously you can't compare the second game to the first, and they're gonna have to add things to DLC, but like holy shit, you just place a building down and then it works? Like, there's no additional modulars, there's not like anything super interesting. I really hate that. And it's important to know that this is a very, very like valuable thing for you to do. So no matter what, if you have forest, if you have arable land, or if you have ore or whatever, anything that you need or can produce on your own land is obviously like a priority. This is what you're gonna end up using to pretty much fund your early game. That's how it was in Cities 1. I'm also only like 5 hours into my city, so I could be talking bullshit, but like, this is how you do it. Increase your outside connections, get a surplus of things, sell it to other people. That money funnels back in, you tax them goods, and then you spend it all on casinos and sports environments and stuff. Who the fuck made this a tool for like making your zones? Like, why is this? Like, what is happening? Yeah, my voice cracked. I was that upset. But what else can I do? I have a weird thing where I like to try and not fuck up the coastline of a city or anything, because I just feel like trying to build semi-naturally, like, don't delete an entire mountain, okay, to build something. They're probably not gonna do that in real life. Could they? Yeah, you know, Dubai, they built a whole fucking island, or many of them. But you know, like, I just don't like that for my city. So ignore my shithole, ignore my deficit, all right? And let's get back to showing you why I can build the best sprawling suburban environment you've seen since Phoenix, Arizona. I use taxpayer money on putting trees in the middle of my boulevards. And can I just tell you, this looks like dog shit. Like, you're telling me they couldn't make this look slightly less concrete-y? Like, I don't know if it's a texture thing, but like, holy shit, it looks bad. And don't even get me started on the grass side streets that delete parking and look like, well, there's no driveways that go across the grass, so the cars just drive on the grass. It's awful, but that's just it. Yeah, I make pretty bad decisions. This is one of the ugliest looking urban, residential, weird, like, sprawling things I've done. The roads don't make sense. I was trying to maximize space for development and then just gave up on doing anything linear. And I decided, oh, I ain't got parks, so I use one of the 3 parks available and I plop it down. And again, another huge gripe that I have, especially without mod support, is that there are not enough ploppable assets to make your city feel like anything other than a copy-paste asset file thing. Because like eventually you need so many parks and different things to boost serotonin and whatnot that like your city's just full of the same thing. And you're like, oh my God. So you also don't have props for like parks and stuff, so you can't really make your own. It's a little bit bare bones there. The mayor has determined we have, well, I don't know, tree for scale. It's like 2 feet deep as shit. So I don't know. I think we got like 25 years till this fills up. Office spaces are super valuable. I also think they have pretty low traffic. So what I'm trying to do is put them on a very like limited street that it's still like accessible to some of the major areas you'd want to go to, leaving spaces for pedestrian pathways. And then, you know, just the more access points that are only 3 intersections, the better. Somebody told me an octagon is a pretty ideal shape to build in because there's only 3 intersections of roads at any given turn. And I think I might try that out, truthfully. I think it's a good idea and a good concept. I had somebody complaining who lived on the east side that they couldn't get to their job in the city industry on the west side. And I said, you're right, because you're probably broke as shit because you work in the factory right here, in the poop factory, and there's no public transportation. So I put taxis down because the bus was actually really expensive and I wasn't really sure how I wanted to handle this. But I put it kind of in the middle of the city where I thought the city would expand. And I saw some pretty great response off the rip. So I decided to make, you know, bus stops and stuff. And this is really where I struggled in the first Cities Skylines and city management. I think buses suck, okay? I do. They're not as good as trains. They don't move as many people as trains. They're slower than trains. They're cheaper than trains, but they cause traffic for people who don't want to ride in trains. So this is more of a thing that I'm doing right now because I'm too broke to afford trains. I am doing something unseen since Chicago. I'm doing something a little bit silly goose. I'm doing something that I tried a bit of back in the first cities, but because it wasn't allowed with stacking roads, it didn't make it practical. I'm making an express bus only raised route that is going to basically split the city into 4 quadrants and allow very quick access from one side to the other with 0 traffic enforcement. And I think that's how I'm gonna win here. What I'm not sure is if it's gonna actually be useful.